Hi, everyone. It's Jason Lowe from Oracle. I am here with Franco Ucci. Hey, Franco, how are you?
I'm good. Yourself, Jason?
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. So great to be here with you to talk about Apex, Oracle Apex, A with P, not Apex, it's Apex. Um, so the reason why we're talking about this is the event on the weekend. So we want to just give people a bit of a highlight reel as far as what Oracle Apex is, how to get started, a couple of the features and the like. So Franco, tell me a bit about what is Oracle Apex, and let's start there.
Okay, so Apex is one of Oracle's two low-code tools. The other one's Visual Builder, but we're focused on Apex, which is the low-code capability that sits very closely aligned with the Oracle database. It's a great place to start when you're thinking about data-driven outcomes and the role that can play. If you've got an idea, you're thinking about an app, you can make this happen very, very quickly.
I'm going to really test you on that, and see how quickly we can do this. So tell me, how do I get? Can you bring up on screen where do we actually get started, and what's the first thing that we would do to what's it look like, and what do we do?
Okay, the URL for everybody to go to is apex.oracle.com. apex.oracle.com. It's a great place as a source of information to find out more about what Apex is, why you would use it, how you can get started, and then once you start learning more about it, how you can then get into these different forums. But we're actually going to go off and actually grab a workspace right now.
Okay,
so
cool.
I'm going to go sign in, and I'm going to request a workspace, and I'm going to put in Franco Ucci. I'll use my gmail.com. And because we're doing this for World Innovation Day, I'll call it WID 2022.
Fantastic.
Beg your pardon?
Fantastic.
And Australia. So just first name, last name, Gmail, etc. I'll put that in there. Are you new to Oracle Apex? I'll say yes. Do you plan to use this for a university class or training? I'll say yes. Hit next. Why are you requesting the service? Would like to use this as a platform for app dev in the upcoming World Innovation Day hackathon.
Nice plug.
And I actually like to read my agreement terms. I'm going to spend, I'm not sure about this one. I think that'd be okay. Term users means individuals, author. Yeah, that's okay. The service period. Yeah, that's okay. Am I going to grant my? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, okay. So I'll accept those terms and I'll hit next. And I'll submit that request. So what's going to happen now, I'm going to receive an email and that will actually activate the request. So I'm just going to go have a look at my Gmail, and I'll just do refresh. And yes, I can see that it's just come in, and I'll bring that over. So you can see that there it is there. So I'll go create the workspace. Continue to the sign-in screen, and it's asking me for a password. This is the hardest thing to do.
Always is.
And I'll hit update. So I've now got access to this capability called Oracle Apex that lets me build apps. So app builder, SQL workshop, team development, gallery. We'll have a bit of fun in the gallery later on.
Yeah.
I can go off, create, import, export, SQL. I can actually go off and look at what objects I've got in my existing workspace. I don't have anything here at all at the moment.
Yeah.
I can execute SQL commands, but let's go off here. And now we're actually going to do 3 different things as part of my walkthrough of Apex. The first one is going to be loading a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet will be around food shelf life. The second thing will be around, and I'll create an app from that. The second one will be, I don't have a spreadsheet of data, but I've got some ideas of data elements and I want to build an app around those data elements. And then the third one is I'm going to go off and have a look at that app gallery. So first thing I've got to do is actually go off and remind myself where I've got that food data.
The food expiry data.
That's it. We talked about this yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, and the data that we're using that came from a previous hackathon that we did late last year, where we were looking at the shelf life and charity organisations and food waste. So probably very applicable for this year's World Innovation Day hackathon too.
That's a good point. So if people want to use this, I guess we can make it available. So
yeah.
The way to get started here is this thing called Data Workshop. So I'm going to click on Data Workshop. And you can see you can load CSV, XLS, which is spreadsheet, XML or JSON data. And now I'm going to go off and look for my data. And here it is here. And it is the food expiry.
Yeah.
The big one, food expiry.csv. You can see I've been doing a bit of Python coding. So we'll go off and get that data. So it's actually introspectively looked at that CSV file, and you can see it's discovered there's a type, there are the items, the period, if there are any details, and how it should be stored. So we'll call this food. And I could load this into an existing table. I'm actually going to go off and do preview. And I'm going to go configure. Because what I want to show here is it tries to actually look at your data from your CSV file and second guess what your data attributes are going to be, what your column descriptions are going to be.
So I know the CSV file. So those column names that you've got there are actually the headers of that CSV file.
Yeah.
And a lot of the data that we've got there is just character strings. Even the period where it's more like the use by date, that kind of thing. It's not just a number, it's actually a phrase of different things. So that's why it's chosen a string character, variable character data type,
which will do for this little walkthrough.
Yeah.
And I know there's more than 200 rows of data there, so I'm just going to pick 1,000 just to show you I can sample 1,000. As you said, that's not going to change. I'll hit Save Changes. I'm now going to go off and load that data. And it's very quickly loaded 679 rows of data. We could view table, or shall we just go off and create the application? Which
yeah, we can view the table a little bit later, but yeah, let's go and create the app. Okay. I want to get to it. Show me something sexy there, Franco.
Okay, so we'll call the application, we'll call it food for WID. And it's got a home page, it's got a dashboard, it's got this search capability, but it's using this thing called a faceted search. And there's also this food report called an interactive report. And this interactive report means we will be able to update it as well. If I was so inclined, I could set this up as a progressive web app. I could also have things like about page, access control, activity reporting, configuration options that are pretty cool, enabling feedback and having a theme style selection. Do you want any of those things, or should we just have a quick look?
Let's put some feedback in. I always like feedback.
You do, I've noticed that. I personally don't like feedback. It expects that I'm listening. So let's go off and now, so this has generated an application with about 12 artifacts here. So I can tell my boss I've been really busy. Yeah. Well, let's go off and run the application.
So even just by getting feedback, then you created another 4 pages just by clicking that option.
I did. It's a very good. Uh-oh, I've now got to remember that password.
Oh, no.
I think I typed that in wrong. Cool. I will update that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've now got this little app called Food for World Innovation Day. That's where I can provide feedback. I'll say happy. The developer on this needs to work on their confidence and submit feedback.
That's like a warm hug.
Warm hug. So let's click on the dashboard. So already it's got a little interface here that's just looking at the data fairly quickly. So it's actually worked out. We've got a few vegetables here, 80 odd vegetables, 69 bakery items, 56 dairy items, etc. It's actually got lunch meats, lobster tails, etc. It's broken them down into the different types of items that, whether they're refrigerated, shelf, or frozen, and whether they're opened, unopened, do not freeze. So some details there. I'm going to click on the faceted search. And yeah, this is pretty cool. This out of the box gives you what you would normally see on those commerce websites. So it introspectively looks at the data and comes up with all the distinct items that you could actually pick. So I'll do show less. I can come here. I can actually put a filter here. So I can type something in like vegetables, but I'm actually just going to go show chart. And you can see the different numbers of the chart items. I can change that from a bar chart to a pie chart. I know you like looking at pies. So we've actually got that. I always get confused when you talk about pies. I'm not sure if it's like a meat pie or a, like a statistics-based pie, or the
I like my apple pie.
You like your apple pie?
I like my
I always thought you were talking about 3.14, but maybe
152.
Yeah. So let's click on that filter capability. Maybe we'll use that here. So I can come here and just write coffee. And you can see it's actually quite good with how that picks that up with the different things that I may want to actually search on. So that's the faceted search. It just comes back as a basic report. You'll notice here in Apex, we've got this little, you could say this little menu interface at the bottom here. So I can click on this thing called page 3. It will actually bring up that interface to work on that form, right? Now, I know that's probably too much information today. But this is where you can come in and further alter what we've actually got there. I'm going to click on food report though now. And this is what we call an interactive report. So if I've got something like a spreadsheet, donates, glaze, things, I can come here and I can actually perfect for Franco's diet. And I can hit apply changes. And I've got the ability to start interacting with that. If I type in Franco, we've got something we can search on as well.
Those donuts.
And we've got all of these wonderful capabilities in here around formatting, filtering. I can create charts, group buys, and I can also turn this into another spreadsheet down the track as well. CSV, HTML, XML, etc., or send that as an email. So that's a really quick intro of being able to load a spreadsheet or CSV file and be able to create an app with it. I'll go back to the SQL commands here. So I can now start to go select star from food, and it will start to bring back the data here. Say maybe select star from food where item like coffee. And I can do a bit of a search on that. And it brings back all the coffee items, etc. So that's just a quick little environment there.
So Franco, just to take a pause a bit, if you can go back to the app itself,
yeah,
just by loading up that set of data, whether it's CSV, Excel, XML, JSON, then we could actually start generating an application very simply. And even the things that we saw there, in the dashboard, we see charting. So different types of charts and visualizations. In the food search, we're actually seeing a complex way of complex, but very feature-rich way of searching for different elements. And even this as an interactive report is actually a data entry where you can click on that button on the left-hand side to bring up a form that is that data. So you pretty much got then a really good, basic, but really functional application around this data just by loading it up and creating one.
And it doesn't take too much more effort to turn these things, like for example, storage, we should probably turn that into a radio button or a select list or something like that.
Yeah.
The nice thing about Apex, you just Google that and you'll find a couple of different ways of how to set that up and do that. You don't have to be a 25-year skilled programmer to do that sort of thing. You just need to have the want.
So going back to the SQL command there, you showed us a SQL thing, all right, and it created a table structure. But hang on, not everyone's in this world where we're looking at NoSQL, SQL, and even from a data science when we're dealing with pandas, how do we work with data structures in here? Do we need to use SQL, or are there other methods?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing which is really positive about Apex is that if you want to deal with SQL, it's great. You can do that. If you're not comfortable with SQL, there's enough of let's say the citizen-based tooling, you can get away with not having to use that. Mm-hmm. There is a capability here called Query Builder that enables you to go in and you can go off and, say pick type and item and go run. And, I can go off and start to have a look at that data.
So, and then when you have a look at that SQL tab next to the results to the left of that, then you've actually got the SQL that you can copy and paste.
Correct. And I know the other thing that's really popular out there at the moment is REST APIs. And people are saying, well, how do I REST API enable this data? And so you come to, actually, the first thing you need to do is you go to RESTful services, you register the schema. So it's basically saying, hey, can you turn this on so you can have REST APIs enabled as part of this workspace? So we've got that turned on. We'll go back to that capability. We'll click on, so it's installed some sample data there. We'll click on food. We'll go to REST. We'll say REST enable the object. Do we want security? We'll say no. We hit apply. And did I hit apply?
Yes, because now you got your URL.
Okay, so I'll grab that URL. I'll go to a brand new browser tab. I'll go paste and go. And now I've now got an interface to start looking at that data that I've got here. Now, the thing that's really positive about this is using the Oracle ORDS auto REST capability. You can actually do a real lot with this. Not only can you get data, you can have these things called query by filters, query by example filters, where you put stuff on the end here. I'm not going to do that now. You can also using it for post, which is inserts, and also puts, which are updates. But I'd do a Google on that.
So you use an acronym there, Franco. So I'm going to pull you up on that. ORDS.
Yeah. So
ORDS, what is that?
So that's the bit of terminology I use to sound really technical. I try and be arrogant at that point and try and make people feel like they don't know, they should know that. No. So
that's okay. I'll cut that bit out.
ORDS is the technology the Oracle database folk provide that helps enable REST API access on database objects of sorts. It's a really, really cool capability. So it's basically Oracle REST data services, and there's a variety of mechanisms to help you do that. And I just showed you one of the many mechanisms that comes with Apex.
So even in this environment, if we wanted to just load the data right in and do that, if we wanted let's say a React.js or Angular or some other API, some other front-end app, then we could actually do that and use Apex as just a way of storing the data.
You're totally correct there, Jason. In fact, I could be the Apex developer that handles the server-side capability with data and APIs, and you could have a React.js team. You could also have a parallel Apex team coming up with another interface dealing with these APIs that we've got. So you can have Apex connect both as a front end and as a back end.
Yep, cool.
So I know time's running away. Shall we go have a look at that quick sequel?
Yeah.
What we're going to do? Yeah,
let's do that.
Okay, so you made the point earlier. Hey, do I have to be an SQL expert? Hey, how quickly can we generate stuff? How many experts do we need, etc.? What's really positive is Oracle with Apex has got this capability called quick SQL. So if I've got some ideas, so let's say I've got a team and I've got a player, and the player's got an age, it's a number.
Hang on, Franco, stop there. What's happening on the right-hand side? Stuff is there. That's like magic.
Correct. It is magic. So on the left-hand side, all I'm doing is starting to define attributes of data that matter to me. And I can go forwards and backwards with that. And as I'm doing that, on the right-hand side, it's auto-generating the actual data definition, the SQL that's required to stand this up as real data.
Cool.
And so it is really cool. And so I've started to do that. The thing that's also positive here is there's a help capability, and this introduces you to what this is. It talks about the data types. You saw me type in num, but there's these others, but you don't have to even use these because it'll sort of work it out. It's also got directives at the table level or at the top level. There's this one here called /insert. It will actually generate some sample data for you. The column directives. The thing which I really like though is that it's got a couple of starter samples. And given what you're doing with the World Innovation Day, I've got a feeling we could use one or two of these. Is there anything here you think that may be relevant?
Yeah, one of the things I've been talking about with around the challenge is around skills and matching that to projects. So let's start off with the project management one.
So there you go. I could have sat here and started to type that in, but there you go. We've got projects. The projects
that would have taken hours, Franco.
Yeah, and I would have probably been arguing with you through the process and totally enjoying the argument. Milestones, etc. And did you say you also wanted to see employees and skills?
Yeah, because what I want to do is especially matching up skills in the project that we need, such that if we do need recruitment, that we've got that covered as part of the data model.
Okay, so what I might do something over here where I'll grab that and paste it into there.
Yep.
Then I'll go back to the help and go to
employee skills.
Employee skills. And I'll grab that one. So actually the simpler way is I'll grab this now, copy, go back to the help and do the project management one first.
Yeah.
And probably come down to here and go Control V, where I've got the departments. And that needs to all go over.
Yep. Cool.
Okay. It looks like I know what I'm doing. And there's this other thing here called settings. And we can put a bit of a prefix here so we can make ourselves look professional. So we'll call it World Innovation Day.
Mm-hmm.
We will also add some audit columns so we know who created the data and when it was updated. And we'll include some drops. So what that will do is every time we go to do this, we can redo it over and over again to start things. We could also have a tags framework, but I think we've got enough for today. Yep. Tags frameworks are brilliant, but I'll leave it there for now. And so over here on the right, we've got all of that data, all of the DDL there ready to go. And where I want to go is also show you the insert statements. All that sample data. So there you go. We've got all this sample data
cool
coming in. So let's actually save that SQL. We'll call it WID. Save script. We'll now go review and run. And the first thing we need to do is go off and run that. So it tells us it's going to run it now. And it's gone off, and obviously these first few statements failed because it was the drops. Let's go off now and create the app. So it tells us what it's going to do it on. Create the app. This will take a little while.
So it's picked up all those tables that were part of that whole quick sequel.
Yep,
Wow.
correct. So yeah, it's quite impressive, and we'll call this WID for now. And you can see there's a couple of interactive reports. And you'll notice it hasn't got any faceted searches. They're just interactive reports. So it's smart enough to say, hey, there's no data in here that's got all of those distinct values, whereas the food data, it was aware of that, so it gave you a little bit more. I'll give you your feedback form back
Thank
again,
you.
and we'll hit create app.
This is why you're so productive, Franco.
Well, Apex is one of those tools that you can go places very, very quickly, and get lots of people. You know, at the end of the day, it's about having fun with this too.
Yeah.
Being positive with it. So let's have a look at our little app, and let's hopefully my password has been updated, and let's go off, and we've now got some sample data in there for projects, milestones. You talked about departments.
Yeah.
Employees. Cool. There are those employees and the skills. So obviously we've got a lot more work to do here, but this gives you a really quick idea of how you could produce something. We do need to do a little bit more design. We do need to work out what's required.
Well, ultimately, from what you've just shown us there is, if we understand a bit more about the data that we need to use, the data that we need to, let's say from a dashboarding, some reporting, those kind of things, we can see that even forget about what the real data is, and it's just dummy data at the moment. You've actually got something that you can then start building on, creating richer data sets. You can then start building those kind of visualizations so you can actually see what's happening, and allowing others to actually get an understanding what's happening in those systems, especially for this, what you got there.
So is now a good time we now go towards having a look at the application going?
Yeah, I think one of the things is, well, is that my only starting point? Are there other ways that I can accelerate even quicker in terms of doing these?
Actually, you make a good point, Jason. Let's just quickly go back to the app builder.
Yeah.
So there's two more things I just wanted to go back to. We did actually talk about loading CSV, but we can load JSON data as well.
Yeah.
Right. So if people have got a JSON format, we should not forget that.
Yeah.
And if we go back to our little WID app, we talked about being able to continue to extend that. The interface is here, and I can now start to add another page, a calendar, a cards interface, a dashboard, the faceted search, etc. We don't have time to go through all of this now, but once again, you do a Google on this stuff, you know, Oracle Apex, you will find very quickly how to create these things. Also on YouTube, there's a heap of material out there as well.
Fantastic. Well, we'll definitely share those links within the right spaces as part of the hackathon. So
as part of that though, in terms of speed and delivery, what's also another positive element here is we've got code snippets that help you get dangerous very quickly with what's possible here. So sample approvals, calendar, cards, charts, data loading, dynamic actions, how to upload files. Obviously, the data loading is around uploading data, maps, interactive grids, master detail. Universal theme is all about the look and feel, and then those REST services I've spoken about. Is there anything here, we don't have time to go through all of these.
Yeah.
Is there anything here you would like to have a quick look at?
I like maps. All right. Since we're talking about our global event, then that's very relevant.
Okay, I haven't looked at this one before, so you're going to be putting me under a little pressure. So the question is, what does this do? And it doesn't take much effort to have a look at it, and I could even do a bit of research, but let's just hit the install button.
Yeah.
And what this does, it does a couple of things. It will actually go to GitHub and grab the app and actually pull it to this workspace instance and actually do both the data install as well as the application install. So we're going to go off and do that.
I'm very partial with maps. So especially with the things I've done previously with apex.oracle.com. Always has a map.
I've heard you've done some things for UNESCO and Tech for Good and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so definitely try to do a lot of things that, especially from a visualization perspective and making it really simple, then the maps and the open data is fantastic. And this is a great platform to do that. And it's free.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see what this can show. Like I said, I haven't actually played with this. So let's have a look at what this can do. Okay, so it tells you it's a sample maps application. Only minimal data is installed, but you can navigate to the data loading and load a bit more. There's a clickable map, there's search and show, there's a faceted search. Oh, I like this one. Circle search, map and report, and nearest neighbor. So I'm assuming if I click on the hamburger menu, I'll get, clickable map, search and show, faceted search, circle search, map and report, nearest neighbor. We're not going to have time to look at all of these. Which one do you want to look at?
Let's have the map and report.
Map and report?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so it's got a map and it's basically reporting elements that we may be interested in, is the idea here.
Yeah.
I can click on that and it brings up information about Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And
as you move around, it's actually creating that grid of what that search is. So you can see that the search is changing in terms of what's actually on the map itself.
Right. I'm dying to click the circle search.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Okay, this page visualizes large US airports as a point layer. Yeah. Each airport is visualized with a map marker. I can see that. Clicking the map marker reveals detailed information about the airport. Okay, we saw that before. And if you use the circle tool, which is that one there, you can visualize the small airports. And once the circle is drawn, the application will reveal the small airports. So I could probably go, oops, if I click on that and then go and see if there are any small airports around that.
Ooh.
Right, and there are the small airports.
Cool.
Okay, so this is using the concept of layers.
Yes.
And being able to do those circle-based, I wanted to use polygon queries, but this is using the circular-based queries.
Yes.
That's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah. So a lot of those kind of features are already built in as part of the sample. So they're very easy to extend, and it's great to actually load the full data set, because depending on what different data points you've already got with your lat longs, you could then just load your data set up and you've already got a map-based application ready for you with all the different kinds of features there.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so
that's pretty good, Franco. You've shown us how to build an app, even just from a small data set. You've shown us how to even just build something based from a data first perspective in terms of the data model, and even how to generate data out of that without actually writing any SQL. And you've also showed us a lot of the galleries in terms of pre-built componentry, like the maps, cards, all these things. But I think one more thing, if you go down to the bottom, actually the starter apps, that's another source of starting, where if you're thinking about customer relationship or customer tracker, or something that tracks opportunities, or something that does polls or a team calendar application, these are already here that you can get started with.
Totally. And this is the thing that's really nice about Apex. It becomes that Swiss Army knife that helps you with data management, as well as low-code app development. And also it's got all the things around JSON, REST APIs, and then we've got all those other additional cool capabilities like maps, etc.
So Franco, one of the things that popped up right at the beginning, it may not have been very obvious, but this version that we're getting is just spring spanking new, right? So where do I find a bit more information around what it is and what some of the other features that we haven't covered?
So if we go back to where we started from, apex.oracle.com, what's really positive, we come here, it talks to you about what's in Apex. I didn't actually, if I come back to Apex has been upgraded, what's new in Apex 22.1? This highlights the capabilities that are new. So there's this thing called approvals and the unified task list. There's the simplified page creation, which we briefly talked about. We don't need to talk too much about that. Row searching capability, multi-word. They talk about tokenized searching here. What does that mean? If I type the word red shoes, it will actually find anything that's got red in it or it's got shoes in it. Region sorting is made easy. You saw a little bit about the faceted searches capability. There's the text editor that can be in the interactive grid, so you can make that easy for people. You know, if you're interested in having your app actually installed on something like an Apple iPhone or a Android phone, that's also possible. So there's a range of capabilities here. The other thing I would go to is, and I'll bring it over here, is that just recently, in fact, today's the 22nd of April where I am, 21st of April, there was a sneak preview of what's new with Apex 22.1. And that's really, really cool. So I'd encourage you to go and have a, you know, people that are interested, go and have a look. And it talks about a range of the features that we've actually, we did more of a beginners or an intro. This actually takes it a step further.
Cool. So fantastic. We'll definitely share this link as well as the other areas, so people can do a quick search on those things, and they'll have them available very quickly.
And the other one is just go to Oracle Apex. There's heaps of, you know, how to build things and do things a lot there as well.
Cool.
Okay.
Wow, there's a wealth of resource, and I think one of the things that you showed us in this short session, and kudos to you for getting us through this very quickly, is that you can get started very quickly, get active in there, and probably spend more time on what is the problem as opposed to what tech am I building.
Totally. It's more about enjoying the journey with lots of outcomes happening right through the process.
Yeah.
That keeps you enthused. It keeps you able to educate the people around you, and you get more people helping with that village style of change that we're all looking for around the planet.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. So thank you, Franco, for sharing those tips and guiding us through. So apex.oracle.com and requesting a workspace is where you want to be. We'll definitely share those easy steps to get to that workspace so you can do exactly what you did as part of the hackathon. So appreciate your time today, Franco.
Take care.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.